Okay, let's discuss question number 37 from your 1033 final exam review. Question number 37 asks us to sketch a solution of the inequality y is greater than the opposite of 3x plus 4. Now, what I want you to remember when you're solving inequalities that have two variables in them, two variables mean that you're dealing with two dimensions. Two dimensions, not just a number line, but you have an x-axis and a y-axis. So, when I bring you with me to my paper, come on down here to the paper, and let's look at the problem. When I bring you to the paper, here we go. Let me pull it back so I can work with it. Move my computer out of the way. Here we go. Two variables in an inequality. We are eventually going to be solving this system on a graph grid, the x-axis and the y-axis. Now, the best way to start this type of problem, I'm going to come down here, because I'm going to tell a little white lie. I'm going to pretend the original problem said equals. So I'm going to pretend the problem says y is equal to the opposite of 3x plus 4. In other words, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend I was dealing with an equation to start with. Now, this equation, if you'll recall, is in slope-intercept form. What it means is this number is the slope of the line, and this number is the y-intercept of the line, which is where the line crosses the y-axis. So, if I use those two pieces of information, always start with the y-intercept. Remember, y-intercept is sometimes called b. b here is equal to 4, and I like to remind students that b means begin with me. Begin here. So, I go to the y-axis, I find the number 4, and I put a dot there. So, I'm beginning with my y-intercept. Check. Now, my slope is negative 3. Remember the letter M used to represent slope. An interesting note, the reason it's the letter M, just sort of a side comment, in French, the verb for to climb is the verb monter, M-O-N-T-E-R. Well, if I could spell it without the paper moving, M-O-N-T-E-R is the French verb for to climb. That's where the M comes from in slope. Slope should always be a fraction. So when you're counting negative 3, you're really counting negative 3 over a positive 1. So what that means is when I go up here, I start with my home base, I go down 3 blocks, and then 1 block to the right, I put a dot. Now what I'm getting ready to do is draw what's called the boundary line. This line helps me see how the solution set is going to be divided in this plane, this piece of graph paper. I want you to notice that the original problem did not have an equals in it. So what that means is the points on this boundary line are not included in my answer. So what I need to do is I need to make this boundary line dotted or dashed, whatever you want to say. I want to make sure that it's not solid. Okay? So whenever this does not have an equals as part of the inequality, this boundary line has to be a dotted line. Now, what we have to decide is which half of this piece of graph paper really to shade. The part below the boundary line or the part above the boundary line. And the safest way to make that decision is to pick a test point. The easiest test point to pick is the point 0, 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ordered pair 0, 0, and I'm going to use it as a test point in my original inequality. I put a 0 in for y, I put a 0 in for x. And when I do, we get 0 is greater than negative 3 times 0 plus 4, which would really say 0 is greater than 4. No, it's not. 0 is not greater than 4, obviously. So what does that mean about my test point? It means my test point is a resounding no, it did not work. Well, what that means is the test point represents all the points below the line. If this doesn't work, none of them work. So what should that automatically mean about the points above the line? It should mean those are your yeses. Yes means yes, we work. Yes, we are the side that works. And the way you indicate that to the person reading your problem is by shading it in. So what you see here is the answer to the problem. The answer to the problem is your dotted boundary line along with the shaded region above the line. And that is our solution to problem number 37.